Recording in progress.
Chime 10 here in just a second. I need a clock that actually has a chime bell in it. I have to remember to come in and wind it every day and all that kind of stuff. All right. Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, November 22nd, 2023 at 10 a.m. The Harney County Court regular session is now in session. And if you would please remove your hats and stand and join me for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Commissioner Shellman, Commissioner Doro. We have a pretty light schedule today, and we'll move into move the Oregon border in between and consolidate both. First agenda item is agenda approval from County Court session on today's agenda, 11/22/2023.
I move to approve today's agenda. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the agenda for today's County Court session. Any further discussion? And hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed? And hearing none, motion carries. Next item is minutes approval from County Court session on November 1st, 2023.
I move to approve the Harney County Court meeting minutes of November 1st, 2023. I wasn't present, so I'm not gonna chime in on that.
And I'll second. Any further discussion? And hearing none, motion been made and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I will not vote.
One abstain. Any opposed? And hearing none, motion carries. Opportunity for public comment. Sir, state your name, please, and
Rick Paul Burns. We do have a meeting on the 27th, which is monthly at SEAC. My priority is still, which they ask us about priorities, mine still remain at having Sagehen open. If they could ever do another lane of passing between here and Burn during them. My basic ones, are there others that you would wish that I should pursue?
I was presented with a proposal or a project for a proposal for a project for the Princeton curve.
Okay.
You know, just that curve, basically do something with it to help the traffic entering and exiting right there and whatnot. So I was going to present that package or that proposal during that meeting. Are you going to go in person or?
Oh, heavens, yes, shopping.
Okay. Actually, I kind of want to do it. I haven't been to one in person for a while myself. So if we want to ride together.
January's on post, right?
I don't know.
Done to John Day.
It might be about back time for us again.
So, Eric, anything that you would have that we should be pushing?
No, other than again, and they've, budget cuts, concerns from basically the Narrows to top of Bee Hill. And I told them that, we'll help out in any way, we can. I've indicated to my person in Diamond that he may, if he gets a storm where he's not needed, that he may end up having to go to Bee Hill, and also my guy down in Fields, the same And because he typically just goes to Roaring Spring. So, we're on point, but it's just a concern. John is really good about cleaning up, Long Hollow. And it could just give somebody a false sense of security with, that being clear and then get to P Hill and then be sideways on the way down. So just,
Okay.
just a concern. And I know that, again, it's all due to because of budgets, but it's a concern.
Well, that's a poor place to have a budget cut.
Yes, it is. And it's going to be, the state highways are on a schedule. They're so they're going to be, number one priority. But that stretch of road from the Narrows to the top of P Hill is like an E. It's only if they have people, no overtime. It's way down. So,
Eric, do they have any funds? If they're not gonna pay their own people to do that, to compensate the counties a little bit?
I
for taking on
doubt
the
it.
slack?
I really doubt it.
Could you ask in your world at
Yeah.
some point,
Yeah.
just see?
Good question,
you-
Allison.
Yeah.
The answer may be no, but on the other hand, maybe it's only if someone asks, you never know
Sure.
if there's an opportunity. Thank you.
I'd like to know more about the Princeton deal, because to me, that doesn't reach as much of a priority as the other two that you've mentioned, if we were able to accomplish something.
Yeah, well, definitely they'd rank it. But it's just over the years, accidents that have happened there at the Princeton curve, both with traffic entering and exiting the highway there, and even just visibility, with signage that has arrows or something on it that shows the corner. Right there is kind of what they're asking for. So,
We can ask.
Yeah.
I would agree without being like.
Yeah, Mike. That's a driver's responsibility. What's ahead of them, but
Okay, thank you.
any other public comment? Okay, and then moving on to old business, first item is the vacate of the street right of ways in the Wellington township or town site, I guess, whatever, request by the Franklin family. We have contacted our attorney and the county council, kind of got a step process on how to deal with that, how to undertake that. And we'll have to make some notifications to adjoining property members or owners and whatnot. So we're working on it. Would hope to be able to maybe take action on it by mid-December. I think it's going to be
It's just legal stuff you're looking.
Yeah, the process is going to be, a list of all those legal descriptions for the right of ways and everything, putting all that together in the order. And then it's just going to be time consuming, labor intensive to get all that put together because there's a lot of them. And then we had actually even talked about, would it be worth vacating that whole area? Part of it belongs to the state. They're never going to use it for that way. But then we decided that not to. We just decided we'd do your request. Because then when you get to the east, there's some smaller pieces owned by smaller people, and that could drag on and be quite cumbersome. So we're just going to take care of your property and your request.
Just a clarification on those, because there's actually is that one segment that basically on the south borders the county road. It would be just adjoining the property owners that would have to be notified. Is that correct? So it might narrow that down a little bit. When you look at the map, of course, their parcel is the one connecting to the county road. As you go north, they have a bigger parcel or to the south, and then to the north is also theirs. And if you go back to the west, I think there's another parcel of yours. So as far as connecting there, I don't think it would be that cumbersome if we were just working on yours.
We could bring the state and the county.
Yeah, this one is theirs.
Yeah.
And this is state, and then this one to the south, which I don't think it'll affect this one to the south, because if we're just gonna deal with everything
Yeah.
north of the 00 road. The only thing that we did come up with is for access to these other ones on the side. These two roads that border to the east and west. About leaving those open for access for neighboring.
Well, so then they'd have to go to state ground and it's all sagebrush. And if they wanted to get access to this here, there's a gate right here.
There is access off of the, okay.
Yeah,
So-
this is all,
So I was concerned about landlocking these property. Oh, this one's not because it's right on double road, but these ones here.
But those are also big parcels owned by the state. So, I mean, they could access by the road, the county
Yeah,
road
that-
here. So this parcel here could act, I mean, any of these up here, other than these up here, but what they're asking for really wouldn't affect anything to do with these. So access or landlocking, you should be able to access, there, and then
yeah.
I guess I was just looking at it from a perspective of what you're saying, if landlocking anybody, and I don't think they would
Yeah, we
by any
wouldn't be doing that. Yeah, this is.
This- Oh, okay, this one doesn't have any on it though. It's just this.
Yeah,
property, right?
yeah.
So would you want to? I don't know, any right of way? North, south, north, but any of these here then?
No, well, we were just asking to close them all. Is what we're asking, but as far as people getting into this, it's easy accessible through a gate. here.
Okay, so, and I wasn't sure
And
about.
there is actually a road here. There's no roads here.
Okay, I wasn't sure with the way this is set off of the double O road, and I haven't researched yet whose ownership this is, this stretch right here. And about access across that piece of property to these, is what I was concerned with, and that's where I was thinking about.
So this is the double road here.
Yeah.
So is that,
should be county right of way.
Yeah.
I would think, I'd have to look at the map again, but I would think that it's county right of way.
So that, at this point right now, initially though, that's my only concern is making sure that there's access to this piece because it's set back off of the double O road a little bit.
Yeah.
Other than that, like I said, the state one here is right on the double O, and have that, they've were issues with being landlocked there. This one's off the double O. So it's just this section here.
Can you show that also, Ellie? Is that?
Well, this one's a smaller one. It's just, yeah, I didn't,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
If you guys.
I'll look again.
I thought I might have names.
And some of those other ones, whether it's, I didn't really look at the ones to the east or to the west, but if you go to the east, there are some smaller parcels, even us, the county.
Yeah.
But again, what they're asking for at this time, and if we're only looking at that particular one, any of those small parcels wouldn't be landlocked because of what they're doing. So, and that's my only concern. So I think it's good, right?
And there's nothing the Franklins have to do in addition to their request they've already made, right?
I don't believe so.
I don't-
think it'll all be on the court to,
Yeah.
to put it all together in an order and finalize it.
Yep.
Yep.
We've got some samples or examples or whatever from past ones that have been done too, so we've kind of got some go-bys for that. But like I said, because of how much is there, it's just gonna be the labor part of putting all those legal descriptions together, and maybe we can find them somewhere already put together.
Howard might know.
Yeah.
those.
And we'll tap into him before he leaves.
Yeah.
So we're working on it and would hopefully, like I said, have something that we can make a move on by mid-December.
So will you just come to another county court then?
Excuse me?
You'll just contact us then or will?
Well, really at this point, I don't think, once it's done, we can send you a copy of the order. If you want to be here for it, that's fine.
Yeah, I think in a broad sense, what'll happen is you've already asked for the request.
Yeah,
So that starts the ball rolling. They'll basically ask me to go investigate it. I'll give them a report and I'll post it at that time somewhere out there on one of the posts that we're gonna have a public meeting. They'll have a public meeting that'll address it, and anybody that is concerned that, would be at that time, would come to the public meeting, and then at that time, it's a done deal.
Sounds good.
And you'll be invited to the public hearing, of course, so.
Do you know if there's a time frame on the public meeting? Like.
Yeah, it's gotta be. Can't remember.
as far as advanced.
Yeah, it's gotta be 30 days. I think it's a 30-day notice or something like that.
Okay. Well, we'll look at it, see
Yep.
see how long it's gonna take us to get to that point, and then we'll have to do that 30-day notice then.
Sure.
Okay. Alrighty. Anything else on that? Any other discussion? Next topic, old business, biomass board member appointment discussion. Again, we still have one chair, one seat available for the county to appoint to the biomass board.
Thank you, Eric.
You know, I'm open, whatever we want to come up, a county employee or
Have you put it out there in any formal manner to let people know we're looking for someone?
I haven't, because there's another seat that's available for a member of the public at large. So that's why I didn't know if we wanted to go with a county employee or if we want to go out for maybe try and recruit a financial person, somebody with financial background.
I would think we would want to be specific what skill set we're looking for in this
Yeah.
individual. So I don't know with what the other parties are bringing to the table, what you feel skill set wise would be needed.
Well,
I mean,
skill set wise, myself, somebody with some financial background would be a good asset to the board.
do you know if, these appointments are, I mean, if you want to start out with someone like Chad, for instance, who's going to be actually doing a lot of, practical work. And then at some point, if you find or you think of someone who's got that financial business stuff that could contribute farther down the line, can that change at that time? How do the rules go on who you have on the board?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would still recommend Chad be more in an advisory capacity as needed, upon your request.
Yeah.
Having not gone to the last two meetings since now you're doing them. I mean, I would like to hear if you have thoughts.
Well, we're working through structure, basically financial and everything, kind of figuring out where we stand. When you get bills at the beginning of the season for propane use before the before the wood chip boiler starts to fire up, you don't have anything to, I don't have anything in front of us to look at, so it looks kind of ominous, but it might be just the same, every year. It might be standard, but
Someone like Jerry Staley or someone? Would you?
I don't know if he has capacity,
Yeah, I'm throwing out.
no,
names out
absolutely, and
there.
that's what we need to do.
Contact people.
That's
I know you keep putting it on the agenda and we want to see that position. I don't have a strong recommendation
I
myself.
mean, we have, for a 5-member board, we have a quorum right now, so we can conduct business and move forward, but we need to fill those 2 seats. We'll fill the public at large one as a board probably, but we, the county and the school district had 2 seats. We have 2 seats, so we have our own seat to fill still.
Economic development, do you think our economic development office should provide possibly, that representation?
Scott, what do you know about biomass?
Nothing.
Oh. You worked
Smart
at the school
answer.
district for a while.
He's good with numbers though.
Yeah, yes.
I hadn't advertised anything because I wanted us, we haven't had a full court for the past couple sessions. So I wanted us to be able to have this discussion and decide how we wanted to go forward. If we want to advertise through the paper, social media, whatever, for somebody, express interest and do that, or if we wanted to keep it in-house for our second seat, or what we wanted to do.
I don't currently have an employee in mind that would want to take that on personally. And so
I offer the economic development in case that's makes sense to you both. Haven't checked with them. Ryan Bailey has been filling in some roles that I work on and doing a good job. Don't know. Speaking
About-
of Craig Smith on that or not, maybe don't want to go there.
How about somebody from GEODC? What would you think about that?
I don't think we could turn to them when we need their help, but I don't really think.
yeah, they're more, there's someone to,
They're
filling out too for a funding request or capacity
County.
or a TA.
Okay. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm just throwing
Yeah.
stuff out there. So
I would think that we would want someone who's willing to serve on the behalf of the county, but, not necessarily someone who works for the county at this point. And so I would feel comfortable about advertising it as a county appointment, but not necessarily requesting one of our employees to serve in that capacity.
So who does the school board have?
It's Robert Medley.
And then
And
what are
Doug
the
Ford.
board members?
Yeah.
Well, we're having our discussion, but
Well, I'll advertise it then. We'll go social media and whatever else and try and see if we can get some interest that way. Like I said, I hadn't been beating the brush of any business owner type people or, somebody with fun because I wanted to wait to see what, as a consensus, what we wanted to look for.
I would think the skill sets that you're interested in, knowing that it has had some financial issues and we need to be able to try to make it as viable as possible in the future.
Alrighty, so I will move forward with that, with advertising and see if we can recruit somebody to fill that seat. Next, well, any other discussion there? Next topic under old business is the Crane proposed water sewer district update. The Crane School Board had their regular meeting Monday night, and they have decided to proceed ahead with basically facilitating the needs of the school. But from my understanding, they're looking at running the line through town, so it'll still be able down the line, the water line anyway, in the future could potentially still be utilized by the community. It's not going to just totally bypass the community as a whole, kind of. I mean, it's going to be in the ground for future development.
so not sewer, just water.
But they're going to do water right now, but we don't need to move forward with because they're just going to do it under their own, because the money was,
Do we need to vacate the ordinance that we began?
no. So that's where I was going with that. But so the order that we did on it was the initial order for the hearing and whatnot. And I asked Dag and I talked to somebody else, but basically said we don't have to do anything. It just dies on the vine. It'll just time itself out. But I wanted it on this topic just as a matter of record of why we're not, so people don't wonder why we're not continuing to pursue it.
Will that mean that the grant amount will be fully sufficient for the Crane Schools plan now?
They didn't say, but since they're not going to be running as much infrastructure, I would guess maybe that they wouldn't have as big of a funding shortfall in it, but just a speculation. But it sounds like what they're thinking about doing is still, like I said, running the line through town, the main water line to the school, maybe connecting some of the school properties that they own, because they own several residential properties there in town, and connecting those to the water system. And also putting in some fire hydrants, which benefits the community. That's what they're thinking about right now. I mean, those plans might change as they continue to develop that, but
So there,
It'll be the board.
it's no action for us,
yeah.
and no.
No, the Crane School Board is.
Yeah, it's not. So we're out of it then, is my point, I guess.
Because the funding was originally designated to the school.
Yeah.
So now the school is taking that and moving forward.
Yep. So just an update on that. So, everybody doesn't wonder why you don't hear anything on us moving forward or making decisions. So that's a done deal. Next topic is new business, and first item is a resolution 2023-23 in the matter of appropriating funds due to unexpected occurrence or condition in regard to Senior and Community Services Fund 221. So this is
So they received $15,921 and they're not planning on spending more than $14,750. Is that what I'm reading?
service negotiated reimbursement rate, non-medical transportation that better reflects the cost of services. The additional revenue expenditures are anticipated to be more than Whereas an unforeseen occurrence or condition has occurred to Redwood County Senior Community Service Center. Also received one-time funding of 15.9 that was anticipated in fiscal year 22-23 for the Transit Community Service Plan.
So it's two different lines that are increases. Like the
Yeah.
Resolution.
Shouldn't they show an increase in expenditure in there? It's usually.
Well, I don't,
Or is it
could you go
absorbed
see if
with
Treasurer
it?
Heaney, I believe when we discussed this before, what it is they're not gonna need it. So we just, resolution it to add it into, revenues. If we were going to expend it and it exceeds 10% of the budget, then we'd have to do a supplemental budget.
What do you mean they're not?
Well, it wasn't, it's revenue coming in. It's revenue coming in, but it was unexpected, so it wasn't appropriated. So let me ask if I got this right.
Okay,
So these funds that are coming in, these unexpected revenues, right?
yeah, let me see what I wrote. Remember it.
They weren't budgeted, they weren't appropriated, but they're revenue coming in. So we're just doing a resolution to accept the
Yeah,
funds and add
so-
them into.
The non-medical transportation reimbursement, there was a new contract that Angie negotiated at a lot higher rate, and that happened after budget time. So what happens is they pay into the state, but it's passed through to us. We pay the state, and then the state in turn reimburses them at a higher rate. And so all of those lines needed an increase because we're already over what was budgeted.
But the expenditure lines didn't need to be adjusted.
These are
Yes,
the
They,
expenditures,
that's what the reimbursed items and the materials and supply.
but
lines
they're
are.
not receiving any more funding that we're recording because they're reimbursed from the.
Right,
state.
it's just the contract for the non-medical transportation. The rates were negotiated at a higher rate and it wasn't budgeted for during budget time because it happened in July.
So are these revenues or these reimbursements? Do they fall under the 10%? If it's over 10% that we have to,
Yeah, we're within that.
we're within that. Okay, all right. So then we don't have to do the supplemental budget. Okay, so
That's why we did this.
okay, all right. All the little ins and outs.
Yeah, yeah.
So, all right,
I move to approve resolution 2023-23 in the matter of appropriating funds due to unexpected occurrence or condition in regard to Senior and Community Services Fund 221. The amount in materials and supplies, an increase of $15,921. The amount in reimbursed items, an increase of $14,750.
I second.
a motion's been made and seconded to approve resolution 2023-23 in the matter of appropriating funds due to unexpected occurrence or condition in regard to Senior and Community Services Fund 221 as described. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, and opposed? And hearing none, motion carries. And that finishes out old business and new business, and we've got a half an hour before the move the Oregon border meeting would start, so I would propose that we continue on in the agenda.
I would like to.
Next item up then is water notices for Harney County.
I've already looked at them. I've looked at them as well.
Any discussion? And correspondence. Letter from FEMA. In
So is this what, Commissioner Yamamoto was referencing earlier? Is this a different?
This is different. This is just our own FEMA floodplain processes.
But when it's talking about the rent, is that related back to that larger issue of heat that you're with?
I think it's different.
Has, Planner McMullen looked at this? at this
yeah,
point?
and I was gonna, if you'd like, I was gonna see if I get him on the phone and
That'd
if you had
be
any
great.
questions for him.
No, I'd like for him to,
I definitely wanted to see what it says as you're doing the ordinances, if you can just say, yes, it's in the works, or we already did it, or whatever. There's just a lot of things saying, you guys remember you're supposed to be doing this, so. Just want to check. This is kind of the closure of floodplain stuff and how finally at the county level, we have to do some administrative matters on it before February. I don't know if by February soon.
Yeah, it says by February.
See if he's down there or out of the office. Mr. McMullen is out sick today. So if there's any questions on this letter, I can get with you.
Can we table it and have him, give us more information at the next meeting?
Maybe I can just take a minute to just explain to you the kind of things that I'm hoping for his input on, which is therefore, Harney County could use the copies of this as we are. However, in the event the committee has not adopted the appropriate measures, this letter is the official, that's the kind of stuff that's in this letter. And with him present, having gone through it all, he can probably answer every question that may already have been done for all I know.
Yeah,
But just want to make sure we close out with.
and it was my understanding, I believe this letter was a confirmation of the planning and rezoning of
Yeah, it's a confirmation
Slide.
and just a kind of a reminder, so make sure you do your part.
I've been speaking inhumanely. Why? Inhumane treatment.
We need to get your attorney number upstairs.
Wonder, but not I do.
Okay, so we'll table it and move it to
Cause it, yeah,
December 6th.
right, cause it says if you encounter difficulties in enacting these measures, you know, that kind of thing, it sort of is just getting us on board in case we still need to do it.
And then a notice of timber sale, just to add it to the packet and from USDA, US Department of Agriculture. Enclose a copy of timber sale to be offered between October 1st and September 30th. This packet also contains Small Business Association calculations for the past 6 months. SBA cumulative set aside analysis, list of timber sale projects and project area maps. This is a part of the agenda packet, so if anybody is interested in it, it'll be available to the public. No other meetings to, well, that's it for correspondence. Next item is scheduling. There's no other public meetings or anything of note to mention.
The golf committee will be meeting on the 28th of November, 4 p.m. at the fairgrounds. That was
28th of what? I'm sorry?
November.
Of November.
That's when applications are due for the first round of funding.
I can get that, and I did get it on Facebook.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Did you have any luck with the newspaper?
Yes.
Thank you.
Regular court dates, we'll go back to the first and third Wednesday, December 6th and December 20th for 2023.
I'm moving to Zoom in on January 3rd for county court from Boise,
Okay.
dropping it someone else at the airport. So this coming Tuesday, November 28th, there's a Harney County Economic Development Facebook for Business class that you can either Zoom into it or you can attend it at the community center, and it is, but you need to register for it if people want to do that. Probably an hour and a half of just, if you have a Facebook page, you're gonna have one in your business. Here's some tips. Wednesday, November 29th, from 1 to 5 p.m. Oregon Water Resources Department Division 512 Rural Advisory Committee meeting here in Harney County, and also Zoom options for that. Was last I heard.
It's still on.
All I had.
Have any late items? Do we want to go ahead and move into general discussion, general deliberation? The only thing, one thing I want to mention, the state parks approached the county several months back about transferring a piece of state land at French Glen, right across from the school, and encompasses the French Glen arena. What kind of started this was years back, the school had approached the state about just acquiring the piece of property right across the road from the school to make a sports park, for baseball, football, whatever. I don't know exactly what their full plans are. And at the time, the state didn't get much traction. So then now, and years later, since they've acquired the Drovers Inn, I think it's called, there at the Airbnb and whatnot there in French Glen.
At the hotel
At the hotel, yeah.
behind it.
So they have those properties acquired, and they don't really see, basically, I guess, that piece of property that encompasses the corrals, the arena. in their plan, I guess. So they're willing to transfer it over. The easiest way for them to do it is to transfer it to the county and then the county to transfer it to. So we're in the discussions of this. This is not like happening tomorrow. It's all in the discussion, but, the the French Glen School Board is meeting on, December 5th. So I'm going to go out and visit with them and just kind of, make sure that this is where we want to proceed before we get going with a bunch of paperwork and then somebody says we don't want to do this. And I've emailed to state, Oregon Department of Parks, to their, real estate person on what we need to do for this, and they haven't gotten back to me, so I gotta follow up on that too. But again, because this is starting to roll, I just wanted to mention it so that everybody's aware of what's happening. Yeah, so the school basically wants some extra space to develop a sports park. It's kind of an all or nothing thing is what the Oregon Department of Parks is.
How do you relate property taxes and whatnot?
Yeah.
Shouldn't really have any effect. Yeah,
I mean, when they transfer it to become county land, right? Is that what you're talking about?
well,
But he's talking about it being a pass-through to the county of the school,
yeah,
then it would be private school districts.
So school. Okay.
Yeah.
We're considered state.
And most of it's a corral. There's only a small parcel there that they could put the field part on, and they're
there's-
still in the mosquitoes and rattlesnakes right there.
yeah.
It's real fun property.
How many acres are they talking?
I'm not sure what the exact. Let's see. I don't have my mouse. Too far. So it's this entire piece right here. It's
20,
Most of that's hillside.
yeah.
so this piece over here, right across from the school is where they wanted to put their sports park area, whatever. I don't know exactly what all they want to do, a football field or a baseball field or exactly what it is that they.
Schools have a lot of funding available to make some upgrades of that nature, and so I'm sure that they're trying to eliminate some of those opportunities.
Well, they wanted to do it for quite some time. It's been several years ago that they first approached about doing it. And then after researching and looking at it, the state parks said that it would be easier to transfer it to us, the county, and then transfer to them. So it's just, like I said, it's very early, very preliminary, just keeping people in the loop.
Is there a stipulation that once it's transferred, it has to be kept as a whole?
I don't know. Those are the next questions that I have to ask the state, and I've got out. If they transfer it to us, well, I would say no, because state parks knows what the school wants, and they were going to allow to transfer the whole thing to the county, and then allow the county to cut out the piece and transfer it to the school. So I'm going to say that part that would, from what I know right now, I would say no. But this, yeah. So, but how it actually comes out, we got to find out if there's any stipulations as far as that it has to be maintained for recreation, or it has to be maintained for can't go in and start building houses on it or something or whatever. So those kind of stipulations I've got to get from the state.
But I don't think the county wants to be stuck with the corrals.
No, I think Gary Miller should be.
I
He's the
mean,
one using them.
all of the permittees use them in that area. I don't think the county wants to be stuck with maintaining them or insuring.
Well, this is very preliminary too at this point, but the school said they'd take the whole thing.
Yeah.
The school said they would take the whole thing and they would manage the corrals and everything. So that's part of the stipulations that I have to find out too as well, that while the state's aware of the piece that the school wants for their sports park, is there any stipulations that they couldn't have the whole thing and manage? But there still might be stipulations that because of the historic nature of the corrals and that they have to be maintained. And those are all the fine points. But
And the restroom. Don't forget about the restroom.
restroom. So these are all the finer points that need to be worked out and figured out. But again, it's very preliminary. I'm just mentioning it so everybody, hear it in the back coffee shop or something. I wonder what's going on.
Do we know currently who's sitting in the French Fund Board?
I believe Mr. Miller is, Corbin Hammond is, and I'm not sure beyond that. I know because I've talked to those two about this, but I don't know beyond that. I'll find out on the 5th.
Okay.
So that's just an update from my side of things. I guess it seemed like there was something else too, but just to let everybody know, our executive assistant, Tammy Renfro, has accepted a position, moving, career advancement opportunities. Can't fault anybody for that. My entire career, I've looked for opportunities as well. So just her December 8th will be her last day with the county. And we thank her for all of her hard work and diligence to the position. And it's going to be tough filling your shoes.
Well, thank you.
So
Thank you, Ken.
we wish you well and
Thank you.
best of luck. I don't think I have anything else. I know that seems like there was something else, but I wanted to bring up, but maybe I'll think of it.
I saw that the Brownsfield grant had been achieved. I'm sure that maybe was going to mention prior.
Yes, we did. We were waiting on from EPA the final award or the official award. So we were waiting on that. And then we're going to enter into contract with Oregon DEQ to do the work, to do the cleanup work, because they have all the contractors and we won't have to worry about RFPs and all that. So we should be signing an IGA with Oregon DEQ for that purpose. And they're also going to take over the remainder of the assessment grant, because there's still funds left in the assessment grant. And there have been a few things that have popped up that need to be looked at. The swimming pool, their boiler, some of their infrastructure in there needs to be assessed for asbestos. So that should be a quick and easy one. Our property on Kearney Street that the county has, I know over the years has been a motorcycle shop and a saw shop and who knows what else. And I'd just kind of like to have it looked at for any oil contamination in the back.
Are you talking the one by JC? That's fine.
Yeah.
I thought it had been with it.
Has that one been assessed already?
I was under the impression that.
I can't think of
Okay. If it has, then great. And
I believe that was one of the first.
One of the first, okay. That'd be great then, because I'd like to look
I
at,
would like to see what documentation came from that. I've never been privy to that, but
okay.
I know it had been.
I'll research that further. Then if it's been done, then great. That's something that's already
I
taken care
remember
of.
Judge Reynolds mentioning that, so.
I haven't come across any documentation of what all was done and what wasn't done yet. So if it has, great. And then potentially we can look at with the the court's concurrence, putting that property up for sale maybe.
Well, and there is some interest. I've had one entity ask if it is for sale, and I said with the current situation that the county is trying to navigate, as well as other counties with land sales of properties we've acquired, that it might be challenging to do it at this moment, but that as soon as we felt like we were going to engage in county land sales again, that I'd let them know. So,
And I've had a couple of inquiries as well.
yeah,
So-
it would be nice to move on with that.
Yeah.
But, I saw that there was a lawsuit
It's out
statewide
of-
that we had not been named in as
Oh,
of yet.
yeah.
And so we just kind of have to see where that goes and whether that would preclude us from any property sales until that suit's settled.
There's a lot of gray area there. I know, was it Polk County? Somebody came out with I'll have to research it, find it. But somebody came out with an interim policy on how they were gonna deal with this situation. But it's gonna take legislation. It's gonna take state legislation to
Clean it up.
clean it up.
Bobby Joe had recommended though that we maybe put all those funds, anything above the amount owed in a separate account.
Yeah.
And so I think that we need to decide if we're going to continue with county land sales to just do that at this point. Was that kind of our consensus, or do we need to make that as some sort of an official action?
We'll have to research it a little bit more, find out. We may have to create a reserve account fund of some kind to keep those funds separated and for potential claims. And I agree, until it's ironed out and we know exactly
Repercussions.
how much, how many years it was in county ownership and property management over that time, and how much of that we can maintain or retain for county management of that property, and how much of it then would be subject to a claim. So and all that's gray right now as well. So quite frankly, I would say yes, that we put it in some kind of reserve fund until that's ironed out. The only kicker there might be is, do we have to disperse it to the other taxing districts like we would,
No, it's a very sticky.
Yeah.
spot.
or can we hang on to it until a decision's made and then disperse it? Part of that's going to have to be is, if we put it into a reserve fund, we're going to have to determine if
If it can be held.
if it can be held and then dispersed at a later date.
Which has been done with some of the electric companies or something, I believe in the past, but now it's a utility versus a county property. So I don't know if it falls under different guidelines.
So, I would agree that we not sell anything until we know specifically how this is gonna affect the county. Otherwise, it could end up being a very big bill. And it could cause it's not just the county, it's all the other taxing districts that got distributions from any of those sales. So, but anyway, I guess my original thing was on the brownfields assessment of just making sure that was clean before we did. Just,
Yeah, it had been
Dispose of
mentioned, and as far as I understood, it had been in the process.
okay, I'll double check on that then.
It would be good to see a list of what was completed.
What was, yeah.
So locating that would be important.
I haven't come across that report yet. I'll do some digging, see if I can find it somewhere. Maybe at the EPA level or whoever, maybe at the brownfield folks have a report of what
Well,
was
and
assessed.
our economic development, they have that because they were working as our kind of lead on a lot of that.
Yeah, I asked them if they had any document. At one time I did ask them and they said they didn't have anything. Everything was turned over to the county. So.
I have one thing, I think it's news. The Harney County Circuit Court, Judge Rob Ratio issued a permanent injunction dealing with ballot measure 114, deeming it unconstitutional and thereby permanently enjoining its implementation. It's on where you can access it online. I haven't had time to read it carefully, but I've been scrutinizing it this morning and it looks like a very sound, well worded, good decision, not just because of where I'm coming from, but just it's good, worth reading. That's encouraging to me.
But subject to appeal.
Always,
Mhm.
but it's the start. So
Could we have a 5-minute recess before this?
yes, so Next up is the Move the Oregon Border meeting, and the county court will recess for 5 minutes before starting that.
How's your leg?
Yep.
It's still healing.
After
Good to see you.
the first of the year, we have to go to kids' Christmas first. Were you sitting there?
I'm here. But you want me to take them?
I guess so.
He invited me to go.
I gotta go, I have lunch.
It was really nice of you. Very much.
The Zoom individual SH, can you hear me? If you're interested, it looks like if you're interested in the Move the Border meeting, I'm gonna have to stop this recording completely, and you'll have to sign back in under the other Move the Oregon Border Zoom link. So just to let you know, looks like they heard me and kicked off.